What is up, guys? Jordan here with the Deck Box, coming back to you tonight with some more PTCGO content. And mainly what we're going to be looking at today is the list that Michael Pram used to take his 7th regional win. That's right, 7 regionals Michael Pram has taken down. And this time he did it with this Lycanroc Zoroark list. Very similar to what many people at this regional played. From personal experience, I saw a ton of Lycanroc Zoroark or Lycanroc Buzzwole or Lycanroc Zoroark Buzzwole, and even in the top 8, 6 of the top 8 lists included some form of Lycanroc Zoroark or Lycanroc Buzzwole. Lycanroc was everywhere. It was insane, which makes me really happy because this was a card I was messing with a couple months back, and I was messing with it in a goofy way that I knew wasn't very good, but you know, still just kind of getting used to the card, and to see it do so well was really great. And not just that, but to see Guardy do, I don't want to say so bad, but so bad compared to how it's done in the past was actually quite satisfying. Only 2 of the top 32 decks were Guardy. So what that tells me is there are decks that can beat Guardy and do much better. And that's just, that's good to see. In my opinion, it's healthy for the meta to have, excuse me, to have certain decks fall out of favor at certain times, especially when they're so broken for so long. I guess not too long, but long enough where certain people thought, oh, you know, there's no deck that can beat it. You know, it's going to be the best no matter what. And then Lycanroc Zoroark just comes along and says, no, we got this. You know, we can trade, we can Lysander, and we can use a third ability, or a third support, excuse me, all in one turn. And that's what makes this deck so good. So I'm going to real quick run through Michael's list that he used to take first place. And then we'll grab a game or two with it on the ladder, and we'll see how it does. So starting off the list, part of the core is the 4/4 Zoroark GX. Saw this everywhere this weekend. It was mainly because of the trade ability. Once during your turn, you're able to discard a card from your hand, and if you do, you get to draw 2 cards. So if you have, we'll say 3, because a lot of times people had 2 or 3 up. So 2 to 3 Zoroark GX on your bench, you're drawing an additional 4 to 6 cards, pretty much becoming like a Sycamore at that point. So really great ability. And then of course Ride is beating 20 damage times the number of for each of your Pokemon in play. So potentially 120 up to 150 with a choice band. Really solid attack if you're wanting to 2-shot things, which Zoroark typically does. It's all about 2 shots for him. Then we have a 4/3 Lycanroc GX line. Now Michael used the promo Rockruff. I believe its second attack is like a fighting and a colorless, and it does 20, and it's guaranteed. This one you have to flip a coin, so I believe that's why he chose to use that one. I could be incorrect about that. In fact, let me see here. I think it shows me the options. Yeah, here we go. So this is the one that Michael chose to use, where it's guaranteed. These are the promo ones. Yeah, that's the promo one. And so that's the one that he went with for good reason. So, but we do not have any of those, so we're having to stick with the one from Guardians Rising. But anyway, back to Lycanroc. The main thing about him is Bloodthirsty Eyes. Essentially, this is Lysander. When you play down Lycanroc, you get to pull up a Pokemon to the active and just destroy it. I mean, that's your goal on this list. You want to just surprise attack, Bloodthirsty Eyes, take out whatever you're bringing up. In my testing with this list, and I'm sure with, you know, Michael and many other players, if you're using this ability, you want it to count. You want to take a knockout with it. If you had to, you stalled with it, but that was really if you were having a bad game. If you're having a good game, you were taking knockouts with this. And then, of course, Lycanroc has 2 great attacks of its own. First one's Claw Slash for a fighting, and double colorless, you're doing 110. But, of course, we know that Michael played 3 Strong Energy, and for each one of those, you do an additional 20 damage. So if you had 1 on, you're doing 130. Choice band 160, so great numbers. If you have 2 Strong Energy on, you're hitting the perfect 180, or I'm sorry, yeah, 180 with the choice band, which of course takes on your Booloos, your Leles, your Volcanions, a lot of big basics. And then moving on to Dangerous Rogue GX, this is where things get amazing. You get to do 50 damage for each of your opponent's Pokemon on the bench. So what happened a lot of times is, at least in my experience, was people would try to keep their bench to 2 or 3 Pokemon. Totally understandable. But you got to understand that even with 2 Pokemon on the bench, you're doing 100 base plus the strong energy is 120, choice band's 150. If you have 2 strong energy on you, which was not uncommon, you're swinging for 170, you're still taking on a Lele, you're still taking 2 prizes. So what was great about this card is either your opponent restricts their bench size and you either don't take a knockout or you just take down a Lele or something. But if they restrict their bench, they are restricting themselves from setting up. Okay, so they punish themselves that way. But then if they do decide to build their bench and just say, forget it, I'm not going to even worry about it, I need to get set up, then Lycanroc comes in and punishes them and takes down a Lele or a Metagross, whatever you're playing against, and he punishes them so much with this attack. So definitely an awesome attack, and this is one that you'd want to use whenever you Bloodthirsty Eyes. You're not going to use Dangerous Rogue and not take a knockout. Just does not make sense. Next we have 3 Tapu Lele GX for that Wonder Tag ability, and of course Energy Drive. We all know this card. It's pretty much a staple in every deck at this point. Here's a card we don't see too often, Energy Lotto. You get to look at the top 7 cards of your deck, and you can reveal an energy card there and put it into your hand and then shuffle the other cards back into your deck. Actually a really good card in this list. Only runs a couple basic energy, 4 DCE and 3 strong, so you need to get those energies. And I saw a lot of lists. It was kind of split between either using Energy Lotto or Multi-Switch. I myself use Multi-Switch. I just thought it was a really good combo. I'll talk about that later, though. This isn't about me. This is about Michael. But this is for him to, he may have a tight hand, doesn't have the energy he needs. He can use those trade abilities to dig through a little bit, and then he can use Energy Lotto if he doesn't get that. So, I mean, if you have 2, let's say you have 2 Zoroark on your bench, you get to dig through 4 cards. You don't get it then. You get to look through the next 7. So you get to look through 11 cards at one time and figure out, okay, can I get an energy off this? So the outs are just endless with this deck, and Energy Lotto is just part of that. Michael also used 2 Enhanced Hammers. This wasn't about stalling anyone or trying to deck anyone out. This was about purely slowing your opponent down just enough so that you can get just a little bit ahead. It takes a second or 2 to set this deck up the right way you want it to go. Obviously, Zoroark can just go up there and swing with the DCE, no problem. But Lycanroc needs a couple of attachments. So using the E-Hammer slowed up your opponent. A lot of mirror matches this weekend. So if you could slow down another Lycanroc while you sped yours up, you were in a good spot. Next, he did play 2 Field Blower. In previous tournaments, we would have seen 3, maybe even 4 Field Blower with all the abilities in here. But as most of us know, Garb was just not really present this weekend. Even made a bet with one of my friends, like, you will not see a Garb this weekend. Like, you will not go up against one. Not saying you won't see any, but you personally will not go up against one. And sure enough, the whole weekend he did not go up against any. Of course, then you have Azul getting second place with Garb, so we just didn't play against some of the top players. And we will actually be covering his list as well later on. I thought it was really awesome that he was able to take Garbodor and do such a great job with a field that considered Garbodor to be close to dead. But Michael played 2 Field Blower, which actually worked out pretty well for him, as we saw in the finals. And the reason it worked so well for him, though, was because of the 4 puzzles of time that he had. He was able to play a little bit lower count, because if he needed those Field Blowers back, he just plays 2 puzzles down, and he sweeps them up and clears the float zone off the Garb, and he gets to go back to trading. So these puzzles were great for that. They were really great for whatever you need in that situation. You can get back your energy immediately. You can get back Pokemon. You can get a supporter. These essentially become search cards for whatever you want, as long as it's in the discard pile, which, if you're using trade, they're going to be in the discard pile when you need them. So just really, really awesome synergy there with Zoroark. And go back and watch the finals. It really, really helped Pram in his final matches. Next, he did play 1 Rescue Stretcher. This was just to get back a Pokemon whenever he needed, or 3 back into his deck, whatever the case it may be. Then, of course, 4 Ultra Ball, pretty much a staple in every list. Just to be able to search for whatever Pokemon he needs. He can get that Zoroark to start trading. He can essentially use an Ultra Ball to search for Lysander via Lycanroc, or a Tapu Lele to search for a supporter. So, very crucial, as usual. Then we have 1 Acerola. This is just to, of course, pick up any Pokemon that has any damage on it, to kind of add some longevity to the deck. There were a lot of one-shots this weekend, like I said, with Mirrors. Zoroark was getting 1 shot, or if you're going up against a grass deck, Lycanroc's getting 1 shot. So 1 Acerola seems to be appropriate for those occasional 2 shots. Excuse me. Next, he did go with, I'm going to say, the Tord engine of the Bridget setup, and that is running 3 Bridget. You're going to need 1 at the beginning. After that, the other 2 are just tradeaways, kind of dead cards. But what I've found actually is certain points in the game you may need to use a second Bridget. If your bench is kind of shrunk up a bit and you need to use Zoroark, you can play a Bridget, fill up your bench, and swing for a little bit more damage. So it could be useful for that purpose, but then, like I said, it just becomes trade fodder at some point. They run the high count just so they can make sure to set up, and then from there they don't need them. Next, he played 2 Guzma. This is, of course, just to grab whatever Pokemon you need and potentially switch yourself into the active. And then 1 Mallow. This, in a way, is kind of similar to Puzzle of Time, because Puzzle of Time allows you to get whatever you need from the discard pile. Mallow allows you to get whatever you need from your deck. Just stick it at the top. You use Zoroark, trade away, and grab 2 cards. So again, great synergy between these 2 cards. I've seen a lot of one-ofs with Mallow in these lists, and it's something I certainly regret not playing in mine. But it just works so perfectly, because you could be in that tight spot and be just like, I need a DCE choice band. And you can try to trade for that, or you could Mallow to guarantee you're going to get it and then trade for it. That way you can for sure do what you need to do. So great card in this list. Next, for draw supporters, he had 4 N, 2 Kukui, and 2 Sycamore. Obviously, Kukui is not he's not solely a draw supporter. In fact, he's like draw supporter light. You only draw 2 cards, not a ton. But when you're drawing 2 cards off of each Zoroark, you got 2 of those down plus a Kukui. You're drawing through 6 cards, and you're doing the 20 extra damage, which is mainly what that's there for. It's just to hit those right numbers to take down your opponents when you need to. That's really why he's in there, but the additional draw support is helpful as well. Moving on, he did play just 3 Choice Band, and this is just to obviously boost your attacks, to make sure you can take those one-shots or hit the right numbers to be able to knock a Pokemon out on the second hit. 1 Float Stone just to get anything out of the active that I need to. What's interesting about Michael's list is, I know a lot of people that played a Lycanroc list, or a Buzzwole Lycanroc, or Lycanroc Zoroark, whatever. You saw typically 1 or 2 Regirock, and that was just to boost it up. And so you'd want Float Stone for Regirock because you did not want to get that stuck in the active. But in Pram's list, really anything in this could attack. There's nothing that you get in the active and you're like, oh man, well, that's useless. It's not like having an Octillery in the active, or Regirock, just a dead card basically. All of his Pokemon could attack. So the Float Stone was really just to get that clutch retreat real quick to attack with something better potentially. But it was never about, oh man, I'm stuck. There's no being stuck with this list really. And then rounding things off, 3 Strong Energy, 4 DCE, and then 2 Fighting Energy to close things out. Obviously, those are the cards you need to attack. Is the energy, and if you know anything about Strong Energy, it adds an additional 20 damage for each Strong Energy that you have on your fighting Pokemon. So it's basically a Kukui in the form of energy. So the cap on Lycanroc's attacks is pretty high, depending on how you get set up. So playing the right energy at the right time depending on the matchups, is very, very important in this. It does take some thought, and it's just, to me, very, very impressive how well Pram did with this list. Again, it's no surprise. It's Michael Pram. He knows what he's doing. He's been playing for forever, and it just seems like every time he goes to a tournament, he spikes it, and just he's like, okay, next, let's do the next one. Let's move on. So really, no surprise that he could have the mental fortitude to be able to go 2 whole days of playing this and make the right moves at the right time. So now we are going to hop onto the ladder. I'm not feeling the greatest, so I am just going to play 1 game, I think, just to kind of showcase the list. If you do get the chance, I strongly encourage you, go back and check out his the final round was streamed. I don't know what other rounds of his were streamed, but I do know obviously the finals against Azul playing that Glisopod Zoroark list was streamed, or I'm sorry, Glisopod Garbodor list. They were streamed, and things got pretty intense, in my opinion. I mean, it was very close in a lot of situations, very exciting. So definitely go check that out. It looks like we're going to be playing against Gardevoir. So this will definitely give us a chance to showcase things like Kukui, things like Choice Band, and the Strong Energy all combined. Just those 3 cards alone add an additional 70 damage to whatever attack you use with your Lycanroc. So it could get up there. Alright, so we have actually a ridiculous opening hand. I'm super excited about this. Okay. We'll start with Rockruff in the active. So we can bridge it turn 1. Turn 2, we can get out a probably a Zoroark, start trading a bit. The only downside is we will have to discard a puzzle, but as we saw Michael do at one point, he actually double puzzled for a puzzle and something else, which I thought was really interesting because I myself had a situation where I couldn't decide, what to get back with my puzzles, and I had the option to get back a puzzle, and I didn't even think about that being an option. I thought, oh, it's dead, I'll just dump the other one later, when really I could have gotten it back and potentially used the 2 later. So really smart moves that he brought to the game this weekend. So we will hold there, and then next turn we can start trading a little bit. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm not going to use Mallow here. Maybe I could. Trying to think, though, if that would do me any good. Start off with this. Let's dump these. And we'll definitely get the Zoroark. I'm going to trade away Mallow. I don't see it being a clutch play that would work out. That could be good. I'm not going to use the Bridget. Yeah. We'll grab a Sycamore. And the reason that I put that, the reason I put the Floatstone on the Rockruff is because if I do get a DCE, I can get him out of there and let Zoroark start swinging. Or we could just set this up. I'm actually going to bring... Do I bring Remoraid up? Yeah, bring Remoraid up. And actually, I think I will use corner this turn. I'll leave that Lycanroc because I can evolve next turn. Just kind of leave him stalled there for a minute. So this was a matchup I played a few times this weekend. There goes our only float stone. That kind of stinks. Okay, end's not bad. But anyway, with the Guardy matchup, it's really all about setup. Not 100%, but you do have to be very smart with your setup. You do need to really focus on what 6 prizes you're going to take. You're going to want to use Lycanroc's GX attack to take down a Guardy, no doubt. That's 2 of them. You definitely need to take down a Lele as an easy 2 prizes, I would say, because a lot of these Gardevoir lists are playing the Max Potion. The Broken Vor was very, very crucial. Sorry, I'm getting texts like crazy. Alright, so start off with trade. Always try to do that as soon as possible. You don't want to end up ripping yourself off. Okay, awesome. So what we can do is we can play down Lycanroc, put down the DCE, bring up Curlia and take it down. And we can actually get another trade off here. Let's see what our discard's looking like. Okay. So we could get these things back if we needed to. Field Blower's not super important. Yep. And something I noticed a lot of times playing this list, or really just any variant of Zoroark or Lycanroc, is like you don't always have to play a supporter. Just because you see one in your hand does not mean you have to jump on it. And that's where part of the, I guess, skill or smart plays come in with this list is, you know, there's this mentality in the game, especially with newer players. It's like you see a supporter, play a supporter. And that's not the case, especially in this list, because you are essentially already getting 2 supporters, depending on your turn. So you don't need to go crazy with it. You know, hold on to those for when you really, really need them, and it'll definitely help you go far in this matchup or any matchup. So right now we're swinging for 130. Love to be able to trade into a Kukui Strong Energy for sure. There's a Guardy. It's probably, yeah, he's got Rare Candy. So the good and bad of that is he has no bench, so I can't one-shot his Guardy right now. The good part though is he's kept himself back. We're gonna use that E-Hammer. Let's trade away N. I feel like if anything I'll need Gizmo this turn instead. I can take down the Octillery. I'll put this here. It's Kukui. So I'm swinging for 130, 150. Do I Acerola? I could Acerola and bring him up, start hitting Lele, force him to use an energy to get him out of there. Or I could take down Octillery and get rid of the draw support. I think cutting out draw support is really the most important thing here, because that gives him his outs. I know that's on energy. He would have played it. Or maybe it is. Maybe it's Sycamore. Choice band. Okay. Oh, and he top decked the Sycamore. That's insane. So he still has to get... If he gets the DCE and then Secret Spring, it's 5, it's 150, 180. So he'd still be one hit away. He wouldn't be able to take us down. And he's freezing. Okay, so he gets one attachment. I know he's dumped some max potion. I wonder how many. He's dumped 2 of them already. That's actually really good news for us. I mean, there is, what do you call it? Twilight GX. That could cause us some problems. Excuse me. So I think right now he's just trying to decide, you know, do I Twilight? Do I just swing for, what, 120, 2-shot? And that's exactly what he's going to do. I don't like that. Let's see. Oh, we get Energy Lotto. Not sure how that helps us. 110, 130. Could be 150. Let's start with this. Let's trade away some stuff. Hey, strong energy. Can we trade and get the Gizmo? What would I trade? Let's see here. What's in our discard? We'll dump in. Alright, so here's our 2 prizes. We puzzle, and we grab the other puzzle and Guzma. Bring up Lele. 130, 150. Oh, no. No, we don't have choice band. 130, 150. Yeah, we don't have choice band. Oh, boy. You know what? Let's just do this. We'll still Gizmo. We'll take down routes, though. Do we still have more trade? No, we don't have more trade. Get back our other puzzle so we have it to use later. Where'd Gizmo go? There he is. And we are going to take down routes. Make that an easy prize, and it'll keep him from setting up more. Swinging for 150. We still have Acerola. And he's just having to dig like crazy to even make anything happen. Alright, so he gets a knockout here. And that's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 120. Alright. Will E-Hammer. That is something I know for sure. Let's... Oh man, what do I even trade? I feel like I trade the fighting. We will get rid of that choice band. I am going to grab the Zorark. I'm going to dump Sycamore. Because we definitely don't want to be drawing 7 cards out of our deck whenever we've only got 11 left. I know we still have 2 more N. Hey, there's Gizmo. So we got 110, 130, 150. Yeah, we need to play this as safe as possible. We have Acerola for a reason. Wish I had one more Pokemon on my bench, but it is what it is. We get to swing for 80. But if he doesn't heal that off, then we just bring up Lycanroc next turn and swing for 150. And take a actually pretty easy knockout on Guardy. But if he's smart, he'll play his max potion. I know he's got to have it. I mean, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 cards in his hand. If he does not play max potion, I will be absolutely amazed. He's got 2 in his discard. Maybe 1 or 2 is prized. I don't know. There's the Gizmo. So he's going to bring up Lycanroc, KO it. Yeah. He's going to retreat Lele. That's a smart move. Smart move. I can respect that. I don't like it, but I can respect it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, he's definitely getting the KO here. So we're going to be hitting for 60. If I can fill my bench and get a choice band, I can actually take a KO. Oh boy. Let's, nah, I'm not going to use Energy Lotto to dig through. I'm just going to dump it so I can get what cards I need. Oh my gosh. There's 2 choice bands hiding somewhere. We will play Kukui. Alright, so we can snag a choice band. What else? What else? I guess we grab, excuse me, I guess we grab the choice band. Let's see, 20, 40, 60, 80, 110. I'll be swinging for 90. I just feel like he's going to heal it. And the rescue stretcher will shuffle some Pokemon back to build up our deck. I just realized I grabbed the wrong card. That was dumb. Choice band or stretcher. We'll grab that choice band. Seem to be having a hard time getting those. Alright, so that's it for our puzzles, which does really, really stink. But we can get some Pokemon back into our deck. He's got a heal here. I mean, he may actually be taking us, though. 120, 150. If he gets a DCE, we're done. He's got 2 left. There's Max Potion. So he's not going to be able to knock us out. That is the good news. Yes, that's fine though. That's actually building up our deck. I was gonna say if we get Gizmo, we can take down the routes, and then just come down to taking down a Lele. Actually, he may have accidentally given us the win. It stinks. I can't really Gizmo. Guess I just leave it here and bop him. He's only got one max potion left, so he'd have to get it off of these 3 cards. What he really should have been doing before was probably used his Twilight GX earlier when he dumped 2 max potions. He had a bunch of energy in his discard. I mean, yeah, he ran out of resources. There was no getting out of that. Whew. Had me sweating for a minute, though, that's for sure. But yeah, so I mean, like I said, guys, that list, there's absolutely no surprise that it is extremely good. Not only was it built by some incredible minds, because I'm pretty sure, I'm certain that Pram had some other people kind of working with him on that list. In fact, let me see here. I had gotten his comments that he had put up on Facebook whenever he listed it. Where'd you go? Okay, well, he didn't put any notes, but Ben Potter said, shout out to Michael Pramwatt and Dustin Zimmerman for making the list with me. So there you go. Ben Potter helped him with that as well. So a couple great players working on that, and then just an incredible player piloting it. So no shock that he took his 7th. Just a reminder, it was his 7th regional win. That's the most regional wins of any player ever. So really, really incredible. But guys, here's the list. Take it, have some fun with it. It's solid. Don't tweak it. Don't tweak it at all. It's really, really solid. Pram knew what he was doing. But as I usually say, it's not just the list. You've got to practice. You've got to have the skill behind it too. So make sure that you don't just take the list, but that you also put it to practice. And don't expect it to do all the work for you. You have to put some thought into it as well. But guys, thank you so much for joining me. As usual, please be sure to leave a like on the video if you did enjoy it. And if you're new to the channel, please be sure to subscribe. We are now going to be putting things back on the schedule. This past week was kind of crazy with finals going on and being out of town for Memphis. But we are back on track, ready to put out some content for you guys. So we will see you next time here on the Deck Box, where we want to know what is in your box. Have a great night, guys.